Hello everyone, I'm back and today we are building a modern library in Windenburg. And I've actually been meaning to build in Windenburg for a little while now, and one of my lovely subscribers commented about building in like the town centre part, more where the kind of like community lots are. And I actually was thinking, because obviously there's this kind of two centres, right? There's like the old towny one, and then there's this area which is like super modern. And I've actually like never built on any of these lots, like genuinely, like ever, because I don't know, they're just like a little bit weird to me, or like it's just kind of a style that I always feel like it's quite difficult, or not the style that maybe would like come to me naturally. But I thought, do you know what? Let's do something a little bit different, and yeah, let's make a kind of modern type building. So hopefully it comes out okay. But yeah, and actually when I first started building this, I wasn't really sure what it was going to be. I kind of was looking at some inspiration images of like modern buildings, and yeah, I kind of felt like it could be many different types of community lots. But because I even actually thought about making it like a recreation centre, because I haven't made a recreation centre yet since that pack came out. So I know I need to do one of those. But yeah, I kind of felt like there wasn't much outdoor space. I feel like a recreation centre needs a bit more outdoor space for like outdoor activities. So I actually decided to make it a library, mainly because I feel like I've made many libraries like throughout my like playing on Sims and I always make like a really old school or like an old building a library. I feel like I just kind of associate older buildings with libraries, I guess because they're full of old books, I don't know. But yeah, I thought, you know what, let's make a modern one. Let's just like throw it on its head and make a modern one. And it's kind of, to be honest, it feels like more than a library really, more of a kind of, I don't know, just somewhere where you could go and chill. It also actually, as you'll see and when I'm sort of building it, I kind of got like the vibes of like it would be a good kind of university commons lot type as well. I mean, obviously it's not fully set up like that because we have like a children's area and things like that, but like I make sort of lots of like study nooks, and it's got like a cafe and a science lab. So it's kind of a bit more than just your standard library, but I'm kind of felt like it was maybe a building which part of it is like was an older building, and they got the funding or something to make this really extravagant like mix of old and new building. And yes, they had a lot of money to put into it so they could have more than just books, if you know what I mean. So that's kind of where we're at really. And yeah, when I first started building this, I mean, you'll see as well, I kind of go in and out a lot from like the different, so like literally in and out. So like I'll be building outside, then I go inside, but also just kind of like changing a few things as I go, like maybe some windows, like I put windows down, then I change them and things like that quite a lot. So I know it can be a little bit annoying sometimes to watch, but I thought you can just watch the process unfold. But yeah, so it's like kind of like got the vibes of how I went along. The main thing I wanted to do was make like an auditorium type space. So like a big like double story height room with like platform steps going up and like going up, and kind of having this space where you could sit there and read if you wanted to, but also might just be somewhere where you'd sit with friends if you're meeting them there. And even actually I feel like maybe somewhere where they put on like guest speakers, you know what I mean? Or like maybe someone comes and like reads one of their stories that they've written, or yeah, I mean, what I do, I actually put the like debating, like, you know, like sort of platformy thing that comes with the university pack, so that your Sims can also have like debating there, if you know what I mean. I don't know, it's like a really, really cool space, and that's like the main thing that I wanted to build. And then I kind of shaped that first, and then everything kind of comes around after that. But you'll see as we get in, and you've probably noticed already that this is quite a long build. So yeah, sit back, relax. Hopefully you enjoy. I hope you do. I had fun building this one. Like I said, it's not a style that I normally build, or it's not like I have built modern things before. I find in The Sims that, I don't know why, I always find if I try and make something modern, it never quite comes out as it would in real life. I feel like modern builds in real life, because they're very like clean lines. I mean, they're all different obviously, but like very clean lines and perhaps more like boxy than an older building would be. And I find sometimes on The Sims that can come across quite like just flat, like just a flat box. So I tried to kind of have different things going on to try and give it a bit more, just like, yeah, a bit more depth, you know? So hopefully that's how it comes across. But yeah, so it's a longer build, and like I say, I do like go in and out a bit, chop and change a few things. So yeah, you've come along for the ride. And you'll see as well, the other sort of like main centerpiece that I wanted to put in this build was the steps outside. So obviously I've made a kind of basement area without like the ceiling, and then that kind of looks like it's outside but like down on a different level. And then I have these like big steps going down with like this bridge going across the other side, which I kind of saw in a reference image, a building like this, and I thought it was really, really cool. And I was like, well, let's see if we can do this on The Sims. So yeah, so I really like that kind of, there's just sort of all different ways of getting into the building and all different like parts of the build you can go into, rather than, I don't know, I feel like a lot of the time you kind of got like the main entrance and then everything just kind of comes off of that. I kind of like how there's like multiple entrances, like there's more like different entrances on different floors, and obviously there's the downstairs space, and you could just go like, for example, just literally come outside and not even go in the building, you know? So I thought it was like fun to have kind of just a bit of like, yeah, different shapes and things and doing things like that. But yeah, so it's weird. I feel like I haven't done a voiceover for a really, really, really long time. I'm feeling a little bit rusty, guys. But that is because obviously I haven't done a build for a week. I had been doing like 2 builds a week, which has been, obviously I've really, really enjoyed doing that because I love building on The Sims. I mean, like, honestly, it's such a relaxing thing to do. But I think, I mean, obviously at the moment, things are really, really crazy. I've now moved out of my house because some work is being done to my house, so I'm currently staying with my parents. And yeah, I'm actually, to be honest, right now I'm actually sat on my brother's bedroom floor. I had nowhere to set up my like computer and microphone and things, so this is where I am. So that's quite funny. So hopefully it sounds okay, because I am like scrunched up in the corner because there's no free desk or anything. Sat on the floor doing this, so that's fun. But yeah, so it's been a little bit crazy, and I've also feel like, while obviously doing 2 builds has been really fun, I also feel like there's been a few times where I've not rushed. I feel like that's a strong word, but like in my mind, I sort of give myself obviously the deadline that I need to do too. And I think some of the times there's been builds where I wasn't like completely happy with them. Like obviously I was like happy with them because I wouldn't upload something if I wasn't fully happy with it. But like there's like tiny parts of me that are like, I wish I had slightly more time to just maybe even just plan a bit more, or just kind of, yeah, just make it completely like what I was envisaging. I mean, I feel like on The Sims, building on The Sims, I always come away like I could spend forever building something, right? Like something could never ever be finished. Like I could always add to it, and you can always add to something. So there always comes a time where you have to just tell yourself to stop and just tell yourself that it is done. But sometimes I feel like I had to stop before I got to that point, if that makes sense. So yeah, doing one, I just feel like as well, it gives me the flexibility to do a few different build types as well that I knew I wouldn't have time to finish if I was doing 2 in 1 week. So for example, like I can do this build because obviously I knew it would be a bigger build, it would take me a bit longer to do, and yeah, so it just gives me a bit of flexibility on what I can build. Obviously it's not like I'm going to make like humongous builds every week, because I still like mixing up, and I do love doing little builds as well, so it'll just be a mixture. But I think, yeah, I just feel like this will be good for now, and we'll just see how we go. We'll just see how it goes, and yeah, I mean, we can change at any point, right? But yeah, I just feel like this gives me just more options, and hopefully things won't be as rushed feeling, for me anyway. Like, I mean, you're probably like, what are you going on about? But yeah. So I was really excited to do this because I knew that I had a bit longer to do it. So I was like, let's get cracking. But it means I haven't done a voiceover in a while. So I feel like I've not spoken to you guys for a really long time. I miss you. What's going on? But in a way, you just get to hear me listen. You just get to listen to me talking for longer once. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but there we are. But yeah, so I've moved in with my parents now, which is I find it really funny whenever I come back to my parents' house, because they live in like a small town and I live in a city. So yeah, it's always like a very big change to like the pace of life. Like I feel like wherever you live, like whether you live somewhere where it's very busy like a city, or if you live somewhere quieter, or even just like literally, properly in the countryside, that you go somewhere else and you feel like you kind of forget that life is different in other places sometimes, if you know what I mean. Even like not that far away from where you live, like the world is like, yeah, it's just so different. And it's just funny to come back to somewhere where it's just like very slow and yeah, it's just like not many people around, like going to the shops and things. It's like, I mean, going to the supermarkets is a much quicker experience, and yeah, it's just very different. Very, very different. But it's nice, actually. I feel like it's kind of relaxed me a little bit. I think it got a little bit crazy. Obviously, we're doing some work to our house, and it had gotten quite like messy and chaotic, and the house wasn't really like comfortable to be in. So yeah, it's kind of like, at the moment I feel like I'm on a little holiday, if I'm honest with you. So it's just very relaxing, and it's still so sunny and warm. Like, I just feel like it's been non-stop sunshine for a really long time now, which is crazy, because I feel like we'd gone through non-stop rain, and suddenly now it's like non-stop sun, which is just like mad. But so it does just feel like a little bit of a holiday right now, which I know I won't be saying that soon, but I guess whenever you go somewhere new, it's always a bit like, I don't know, a bit of novelty to it, isn't there? Like, just kind of like everything's like, oh, like even going to the supermarket, like I said, like it's like, oh, this is so nice. Like, I'm not going to think that soon, but for now, that's how it is. But yeah, so I've just talked over a lot of what I've been doing, but basically you will have seen in the kind of, I'm going to call it like the wooden box, is this auditorium space I was talking about, where I've used the platforms to create like steps up to a like kind of half the height of the double space room. Does that make sense? And then it curves round, and then you can walk up to the next like floor. And yeah, like I say, I want that to be somewhere where, there's going to be some little armchairs and some actual book storage there too, and a sort of like debate, like, I don't know what it's called, but that like debating object where they come and they debate. And yeah, I just feel like it's like quite a cool space for your Sims also just to like hang out in. I don't know, it's just like a bit different. And it's got really, really nice views from the windows, because what you can't see, like behind where I'm building, is, yeah, there's like, it goes out to the water, doesn't it? There's like that, because I'm in that part, like I say, I'm in the part where it's like modern. This is where the gym was originally. And then sort of behind where I'm filming there's almost like these like steps down, and then you get the kind of, there's the lots that are on the water. There's like a nightclub, I think, and a swimming pool, I think. And it's like on the water. So yeah, so you get a really nice view out to the water if you're like sat in there. So that's quite nice. But yeah, so I've kind of gone for this natural wood colour, but then also you'll see that I'm using a lot of like concrete, and there is some brick as well, because like I said, I feel like maybe one half of the building has some of the more original, well, like original building, and then they've built some more sort of like modern parts to it, and this is just kind of how it's turned out. And so it's like kind of a nice fusion of kind of, I don't know, I find it quite a contrast, like using like something like concrete, so like hard and like solid, compared to like with sort of like planked wood. I think it's quite a nice contrast. I just kind of wanted to give it, yeah, just a bit of difference, so it's not all just like one colour, because then that's when I feel like it can start to just get a bit too blocky, you know, for The Sims. And that's where I just feel like if you're making something modern, it can just not, even if like you're literally making something that is in real life, like it just will never look the same, I don't think. I mean, I'm sure, I mean, like there are so many people out there who can make such amazing modern builds. Like this is just not, I don't know, I feel like it's just not like what comes to me naturally. Like it takes me like a few tries at different things to like look how I want, kind of thing. But yeah, honestly, there's some incredible things out there, so just trying to like, you know, do my best. But yeah. And what you'll see I'm doing here, this is also like one of my, at the back of the auditorium, you'll see I put these like windows, because you kind of have this void space above this one on this sort of like second floor. And I thought, you know what would be really cool? Let's put some like books in the windows. And it looks really, really cool in the end, I think. Like from the outside at the back, it's kind of like you can see these like books. I don't know, like I said, I wanted it to be kind of funky and like different from a lot of the libraries I've made before. I do, like I say, I have this tendency, like my library's just old and boring, but like in that like traditional way, how you'd expect. So like very grand. And I just wanted to make something a little bit different. It kind of, to be honest, it feels like a kind of, I don't know, like I want to say like culture building. You know, these buildings that is almost like people come to visit, just to visit it, not necessarily to like use it as a library, because you can obviously just come and go in a library as you please. So yeah, I feel like it's something where you would visit. Like for example, if you were visiting Windenburg on your holidays, then you would come and have a look around, because why not? And you'll see I use the recreation centre like signs throughout, because I really wanted signs, or to look like as if there's signs everywhere kind of telling you where things are, like within the building, because it's a little bit like there's a lot of entrances and there's a lot of like archways through from different areas. So I feel like it's definitely somewhere where you would need to read a map or like just like the kind of layout of the building so that you know where to go. So yeah, I do use that, even though I know that some of the like some of the obviously bits on the sign aren't really relevant. Like obviously there's not like a game area or like a fitness area, but just kind of imagine that it is telling you where to go. Because it's a good little sign that for community lots, I think, for that kind of thing. Kind of just gives that vibe. Just don't look too closely at the logos, basically. But yeah, so you'll see I've just done the like auditorium space. I know I keep banging on about it, but it's just like, I don't know, it's just the one thing I knew I wanted to do when I first started this build. And I actually, honestly, I spent so long playtesting that room, because when I made it, I was like, I know The Sims can do this. Like The Sims will do this because they're programmed to be able to do it. Like, I know they can walk up platforms. But then, of course, when I go in to playtest my sim, and I can't remember which sim it was now, because I always use, like, the towny sims, like, just, like, the sims that are in the game to playtest my lots. Whichever one is, like, just handy. And, yeah, they'd walk up the first half, so they'd get to, like, where the debate, like, I honestly cannot remember what that item is called, but where they do the debating, they get to that level, and then they just refuse to go any higher. And yeah, so I spent ages trying to get it to work. So I was like, I am not deleting this, guys. This is like one of the main reasons that we made this build. So I am not deleting it. And yeah, I ended up basically, I think this is what it was. Because obviously to do that, you have to remove the ceiling and of like the floor above, because obviously you're cutting through 2 floors, if that makes sense. And obviously, if the Sims think there's something above their head, they're not going to climb it. Now, obviously you'll see when I built it, there's nothing there. There is no floor ceiling. But I think maybe it was registering as there was or something. I'm not too sure, but basically I went through every single platform piece, because obviously each platform piece counts as like a room. And yeah, I went through each one and basically had to delete the ceiling, but also I made sure to delete the floor from the floor above as well, including because, and what I think it might actually have been like really specifically is like the floor actually above the first half of the steps, if that makes sense. So not even the ones where you'd think, because they'd walk up the first ones happily, but when I deleted that one, that made like a big difference to like the room, if that makes sense. Because you know, like when you delete things on The Sims, like a wall, sometimes it can delete like a multitude of items for some unknown reason. Yeah, I felt like when I deleted that ceiling, that's when it like started working, if that makes sense. I mean, I'm not described this so well at all, because you can't even, I mean, you can't see me doing it, so I'm not making much sense. But yeah, so you just had to delete the ceiling a few times, and the sim was happy with it then. And I loaded the lot to doubly make sure, and the sim still could do it. So yeah, should be absolutely fine. Like, because like I said, I spent so long with that room. I've just like destroyed it to oblivion. Like, I just kept deleting every little part that like the game could register as still being there, if that makes sense. So yeah, but yeah, bizarre. Sims is so bizarre. But yeah, so you'll see that I made a kind of main entrance, which I know obviously I said there are loads of main entrances in. That one was where I feel like maybe the original main entrance was to the library before maybe they did all these like additions to it. And so I kind of had a mixture of using the kind of the countertop, with the like wooden countertop, but like with the metal legs, if you know what I mean, from base game, which I feel like is quite good. It kind of worked well because it sort of contrasts the concreted area into the wooden area. So yes, that's kind of, I know that the concrete can be kind of cold almost, but I kind of wanted that because then I liked it kind of contrasting, like I say, with the warmth of the wood and the other part of the building. So you'll see that I kind of mix it in places, which I thought was quite fun. But yeah, and you'll also see that I'm using the new Book Nook. Is it Book Nook? The new Book Nook kit pack, which, yeah, it's really cute. Really, really cute, and timed really well for making a library, because I had this planned and then that pack came out and I was like, brilliant. This is going to come in handy, because although I know obviously it's like a pack designed to make little like cute reading nooks, I was like, well, I really wanted this library, like I say, to be a bit different to libraries I've made before, or just the kind of traditional library that you might have in your mind. And yeah, I thought these would work really well, creating like these big reading nooks, but within a library, which I thought would be a really nice idea that I wanted it to feel quite enclosed in places, and using bookshelves to do that, I think it's quite fun. So you'll see all along that front, you've got these like really nice sofas in between lots of books, which is fun. And then you have these in the middle of the room, the sort of main bookshelves, which this is where most of the books will be in terms of the main library. This is like the main library room. I do put bookshelves everywhere, basically, because it's a library. But yeah, this is the main one. And so these two runs in the middle, I kind of see as like the main, like that's where you'd be like rummaging to find the book you want. And I thought it'd be really fun to have like seats in between. So you'll see I put those like stools. Now, obviously, the Sims can't use them. It's just like decoration. But I thought it was quite a fun idea to have, I don't know, can you imagine like sitting up in there, like with your book? I don't know, it'd be kind of cute. It might be a little bit busy, to be fair, like if that is the main library area. People might be like walking past as you're trying to like read in that like kind of shelf, but it gives me nice vibes. And then over here in this sort of corner, I wanted to create some proper like functioning reading nooks. So I used the bookshelves to like create these little nooks, literally. And yeah, I thought that's like, to me, it looks super cozy. I think it'd be so nice to sit in those. And it's also somewhere, like I said, like it gives me the kind of where you might come if you were studying for a degree, and you could go in there for like some just like calm space, but also if you wanted to still get some reading done. So I really like that. And I really love, like I said, the items in this pack are great, especially for like a kit pack. I feel like it's really cool having all those different like book shelving options. The only thing is, I wish in a way they came as like also not being like attached to the wall, if that makes sense. Obviously I get why, and it's really fun to obviously create kind of like whole wall bookshelves and like having all like even funky shapes, because obviously they've got the different sizes, which again, great. And then they have the different sizes like open or like with a few books or not, or like full books. So there's honestly, you can make so many cool different types of bookshelves and things. And I know that I will use them like a lot, probably too much, because like I say, it's like super, super cool. But yeah, like I know as well, you can obviously not put it against a wall, like you can just place them. But it's that whole thing of if there's like a wall nearby, it will snap away from you. And yeah, so it just makes it a little bit more fiddly if you're trying to do something, I don't know, like a little bit different. So that's why I do build them with walls in them, in the sort of like main bookshelf runs that aren't against walls, just purely because it just helps them stay together. And like, you know, if you like accidentally move one, it just, yeah, it can just, we all know what it's like, the shelves on the walls that connect together. But yeah, so it would have been cool to have them maybe not just a shelf, like attached to the wall shelves as well. But I mean, I'm not complaining, honestly, because like I said, like it's super cool having those items. So I'd rather have them as they are than just have them as normal bookshelves, if that makes sense. If that makes any sense. But yeah, so you'll see that I just did a little room, which in my mind is like that archives room, kind of like, I made it look a bit older, which I know is a little bit kind of, would they have an older looking archive section? I don't know, that was the one thing that I felt I couldn't make modern. I mean, like I know I could have, but I just, yeah, I like the idea of it being an older part of the build. So yes, that's just very dark, and like I feel like you wouldn't really go in there. I do put the, you know, the research computer that comes with the university pack, because like it's nice to know that your Sims can actually go down there and research things. Like I say, I know obviously this isn't in the university world or anything, but say your Sim was like living at home and going to university or something, then they could come here and do that research and things. It's just nice to have that option. And then the room next to it is like a science room. I feel like somewhere they'd go and like do your robotics there. And like I said, I just wanted there to be more things for your Sims to do than just read books. And I thought that was a good addition. And perhaps they do like kind of events there, you know, like they come and they might run kind of like workshops and things. I don't know, it's just like nice to imagine different things that those Sims might want to do. And then up here, it's a little bit confusing, the order I kind of do the rooms in, but it kind of made sense in my head. But we're now upstairs in that kind of concretey side of the building, above the reception, or the main entrance room. And I made this a kind of computer lab, so it's just loads and loads of computers and loads of books, because I figured if you were sort of on the computer doing things, you might also want access to some books. But I mean, it's not far from, you can run down to the main library and things. That's the idea anyway. You can obviously go in between each bit as you wish. But yeah, I just wanted like loads of computers. Some of them were a little bit close together. I know it'd be a little bit annoying, like if you were actually trying to get on with something and someone was right there, like, I don't know, like eating something and doing something noisy or something while you're trying to study. But like I say, I do create some kind of actual like more enclosed study rooms, which I feel like maybe you could book out and stuff. But you'll see that as we get there. But then directly above the computer lab, but you can't get there from the computer lab, so it's a cafe. But this cafe is, like I say, you can't get there from the computer lab, but you can get here from the main auditorium, so you can climb up those steps, or you'll see off to the right that there is actually a main door outside on this floor, and then there's stairs like down as well. So like I say, there's like many different ways of getting in and out of this building. You can just like rush straight to the cafe if you want. And it's a very, very small cafe, because in my mind, most people would come, get a drink and take it to wherever they're sat, or like at the computer or down into the science area. But there are some seats and things up here, and it's all very like white and feels very cold, but I quite like it. Like I said, it's a big contrast to the warmth of like the wooded area. Makes it sound like it's a woods, you know, like an outside woods, but like a forest. But no, just like the area that's made of wood. But yeah, and I also wanted to put some grass out here, because I guess it would be fake grass, but just to kind of, I wanted there to be some greenery on this build, make it a little bit like eco-friendly, putting some solar panels on the top as well, just 'cause I feel like most newer builds now like have that in mind. And I think having some greenery on it just makes it a bit more not as cold from the outside. And it's just nice to have that contrast of, just like the old and new and the warmth and cold. That's what we're going with. It just makes it come alive a little bit, you know? So yeah, like I said, I do jump around a little bit. So I'm back outside now, because as I'm building, I'm like still doing the exterior as well, if you know what I mean, because I just really didn't want it to look too flat and too just, oh, there's just a wall there, or there's just a window. Like I was trying to use different things and greenery to just, give it a bit more life. And you'll see that I don't put a fence. I don't put a fence around this kind of like outside basement area. So, as in, if you're walking at the top level, so you see the bridge off to the right now, you could just fall down. Now, obviously in my head, I'm like, that just wouldn't be like that in real life, because this is very dangerous. Just have it open like that. But it just didn't look right in The Sims, like using like a big fence. Like, I don't know, it just looked a bit kind of clunky. So I just used a little debug wooden trim around, just to create the kind of idea that there is something there, because there would be, of course there would be. But it just looked a bit, it just didn't work quite well on The Sims. So, but there is a fence there, obviously. So yeah. And now we're working on the last like main room in the library itself, which is underneath the like main entrance like desk area. And this is like the children's area, which I think is really nice. I use those like bookshelves in the middle from, I think it's from the Growing Together pack, because they have those like shapes cut out, you know, like the triangles and the squares cut out in the middle of them. And in my mind, they're like seats. Now, I know they're not, but I like the idea that the children could like sit in them and like read their books. I don't know, I thought it was quite sweet. So I really wanted to use those ones. And then I created this kind of soft corner, maybe for the even younger children to like read and go in the tent, and maybe their parents will read something to them. And then I also wanted some activities for the children to have, like kind of going with the like sciencey vibes, like next door. So I wanted to have like their own little like computer station and like craft station, and then the like kind of sciencey table. So I just thought it was quite nice for the children's sims to have like different skills and things to be like doing as well as what maybe their parents are as well. Like it's just nice to have all the different options. And like I say, this lot could be like many different types of community lots. Like you could change it to not be a library if you didn't want it to be, or maybe just like a community space. Like it's got that feel to it, like it's somewhere where you'd come to hang out and do like different activities for a day out and things like that, rather than maybe just like your traditional just library type building. But I mean, a library is that too, I suppose, but I just feel like there's stuff going on here, a lot more going on here, perhaps, you know. And then directly outside is this like kind of, like I say, this like basement outside area, which I think is quite a fun idea to do. And I make here in the corner a bike shed somewhere, like if you've cycled here you can leave your bike, which I did want to put on the like not on the basement level, because I did feel like bringing your bike all the way down would be like not ideal. But we'll just ignore that. There just wasn't enough space upstairs basically, and I thought, oh, it's quite sweet, it'll fit in one of these little like nooks, you know. And then I also put one of these like food vendor trucks. I never know what to call these. I really don't. I'm trying to think what they call it in the game, but yeah, somewhere where you could get a drink down here as well. So yeah, you've got the option down here, and there's a cafe up at the top, which I actually use for the cafe at the top the bubble tea like barista bar, rather than the like the like traditional one, if that makes sense. Just because I think it fitted better in that cafe, like the like decor of it, if you know what I mean. So yeah, but I mean, I know it's kind of, you can buy other stuff there too, but I know I guess you could change it if you didn't want to be like the bubble tea, you know, if you just wanted like the normal cafe. But yeah, so, and again, I wanted this space down here to be green. I wanted there to be plants down here, just to have that like contrast, you know. And then lots of sitting areas where you could come out, read your books. I think that'd be really nice to go to a library, just grab a book that you want to read and just sit outside on a sofa and chill by some plants. I think it'd be really calming and a different experience. And it's also like where the kind of other activity items are that you need for a library, if that makes sense. So it's where we have the chess tables. I think that's it, actually. Is that the only one that you need for a library? I think it is. But I also put some easels out here because I thought it'd be quite nice to paint, you know? Like, again, like a very relaxing place to come, paint, play some chess. And there is also, what I didn't show actually is there are some toilets in this in this build. It's just getting quite long, the video, so I thought I would, yeah, just take those out. But there are some toilets in the main entrance, which you do see, and then there are some toilets off of the children's area, and then there are some little toilets down here as well outside. So there's like lots of different options in case of where you are, you know, like in the library. And then I also put some reading nooks out here, which is like as in like little actual rooms, which I thought was really fun. And I put them under the stairs. So you'll see that obviously the stairs going up in the middle of this are made from platforms, a mixture of platforms and like full height walls. And these two on the end here, I make, like I say, somewhere are rooms where I feel like you could book out and study in them, or like write an essay, this kind of thing, or just hang out in there maybe, like, I don't know, you've just got something you just want to get on with quietly, just want to do some reading. But yeah, and then they've got some more bookshelves in there, of course. But yeah, so just nice little space, you know? But yeah, there we are. I hope you enjoyed this one. I will leave you with some screenshots and see you in the next one. Bye.